artists! Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a batik haunted house. Batik is a method of art where artists use wax and dye. Wax resists the dye and the color stays. Our batik haunted house is going to look old and spooky. Your haunted house can look different than mine. I'll be showing you one way to draw a house, but if you would like to change it, that is totally fine. Happy creating! Okay, artists, to get started today, you're going to need a sheet of paper. I am using this manila paper, but white will work, anything will work. I also have this setting here, and I'm gonna leave that here while I draw because it gives you a lot of ideas on different things. Houses have siding on the sides of them and shingles. Most houses have doors and windows, and since it's a haunted house, I've left some extra ideas there. My first sample that I did this with, I did it on a smaller sheet of paper, and it is actually pretty difficult to get all the details there when your paper is too small. So I don't recommend cutting your paper. I recommend using a full regular sheet of paper. So to draw your haunted house, I always like to start with a ground. You wouldn't have to draw the ground, but I'm going to on this one. The next thing I think I will draw will be just the basic outside shape of my haunted house. So I'm going to be drawing a rectangle, and I want this haunted house to be really tall. So I'm going to be drawing a pointed roof. I also want this house to have a tower, maybe a haunted tower. So beside the house, like a lot of Victorian style houses have tall towers that are rounded, and then the roof. And I'm gonna want a chimney. I want to make sure that my ghosts and goblins stay warm. So there's my chimney. Now it's time to think about the details of my house. What kind of shingles do I want? What kind of siding do I want? What kind of doors and windows? So that's the next step in your drawing. All right, everybody, I have my drawing completed. I've made sure that I have a big scary spider up here. There's a ghost coming out of the chimney, a big full moon, so maybe the werewolves are out. I'm gonna have a silhouette in this window, like Frankenstein's ready to come out and attack somebody. There is a grave beside the house, and now I am ready to start coloring. I will be using regular crayons today to color this project. Okay, boys and girls, when you have your crayons ready, the thing to remember is to color pretty dark. If you do not color dark today, this will not work well for you. Make sure you press hard with the crayon and color dark. Okay, artists, you'll notice that I used fairly light colors. The reason for doing that is when you apply the dye, or in my case today, I'll be using instant coffee. When you apply the dye, the lighter colors are gonna just kind of stand out a little bit better than dark colors. So even though my house looks cheerful and pastel-y, when I have done the batiking process, it will look old and spooky. Okay, so I am about ready to batik my project. On this one, I used black watercolor paints. So if you have those work great. But if you are at home and you do not have any watercolor paints, then you could use black tea or coffee. Just have your parents brew you some dark coffee. This one, I have instant coffee. Instant coffee is actually a little bit more brown than regular coffee. So regular coffee would end up being a little bit darker, but I don't mind that this is brown. So to batik your project, I have it colored in really, really dark. I can feel the wax. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crumble up my paper. It sounds like that's really easy, but you don't wanna rip it. So you do actually want to crumble kind of carefully. So I have it all wrinkled up and then flattened back out. And where I ripped it, I turned it over and put some tape there so it's fine. And now I'm going to apply the dye. After you apply the dye, you'll want to take a dry paper towel and just sort of blot up the puddles.